and anybody that wants to listen later can do that.
All right, you're all set to go.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, fantastic. As I just dropped my wax heater, so it's like nice smelling in my house. Yeah, I just knocked it over. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, from our little hiatus that we had just for the summer. And I trust that everybody had a good break. So I actually want to hear stories, if you're willing to share, about your break, and particularly if it has anything to do with the training of how to be your own genie. Like, did you make an observation? Did you look at somebody else and see something that you shouldn't do, what not to do? Or did you see an example of somebody using the genie training and it was a success? Just a story. You don't have to use names, but yeah, I'd like to hear about your break.
Come on, Open. You got a good story for us.
Not really. I'm just moving forward. One day I'm going to be famous. Almost there. It's almost, actually, it is mid-year, huh? Almost mid-year.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start and I'll share some stories from my break. Okay. So Truman actually knows a couple of these stories already, but I wound up getting suspended at work, and I got laid off already, so I'm not working anymore. But this was during our hiatus break, and so still working. And normally, getting suspended would be considered a negative thing, but I'll tell you that I actually used the training, and as soon as I got suspended, I was smiling and laughing, and I had a great time. Even though I was upset because I was suspended, I didn't let that get to me. I was going to use this time to use the training for my advantage. Okay. So this is what happened. So we had a permit to do the job, and we were supposed to do all the jobs in this one package. So we did 3 of the jobs, and it went along swimmingly. And then the 4th job happened to be in this area where we had to wear the rubber suits, right? Because it was a lot of acid in there, okay? And I've told you guys about this before. So you have to wear like just a full industrial rubberized suit. You have to put boots on. You've got to put a face shield around your face. Sometimes you have to have a respirator or supplied air, like a scuba thing. So it's quite a get up. But we put all that on and we went up the tower. And we get to the top, and we're just thinking to ourselves, because the sun is beating down on us. It was a really hot day. It was actually a heat wave. I know a heat wave in Canada is probably not the same thing, but it was still pretty hot. Okay. And we're just thinking to ourselves, let's do the job and get the hell out of here. And so we open up this line. Well, it was live, and it could have been acid, right? Well, my partner ended up getting a little bit in his lungs. He inhaled a little bit, but the wind was going the correct direction, pulling everything away from us. So things went better than they could have been. And it ended up being not acid. So he's okay. He's totally fine. It was natural gas, and it was being purged with nitrogen. So it's probably mostly nitrogen and a little bit of gas vapor. All right. So he was okay. Well, it ended up being that the permit said just to do this little part of the job, but not the whole job, even though all of the bosses told us to do the whole job. So that's how your brain can fill in the blanks. You know what I mean? Like sometimes somebody might say something, but they don't actually spell it out, and your brain will, fill in the gaps and just think that you heard something you didn't really hear. Okay, that happens all the time. Well, that's what happened with us. And we read the permit and we looked at it, and we should have seen that. So both of us took responsibility for what we did wrong. And it ended up being that the guy wasn't hurt, but we did get suspended. Well, getting suspended is not the greatest thing, but I had been working 7 days a week at that point, and they wanted us to work 12-hour days. And it wasn't just like working 12-hour days. It was, you have to basically wear these rubber suits. You can't really drink water, because if you drink water, then you're going to have to go to the bathroom and get out of the suit and decontaminate and do that whole thing. So it's kind of like you have to give up drinking water during the day. You have to give up a lot of your time, and it's also really hot, and it's hard work, right? So I was happy when I got suspended, because I got a break. And what I decided to do on those 2 days off is I fixed my dishwasher, because I was talking about that, how I couldn't fix my dishwasher because all of the stuff was not open on Sunday, and that was the only day I had off. So I went and fixed my dishwasher, and I also took measurements, and I started planning my deck, my backyard that would go around the hot tub that I have, because it was horrible. I mean, I had put it in the middle of winter. So now all the snow had melted, and it was looking horrible because I had just built all of that, right? So yeah, I got to plan my new deck and my tiki bar and how everything was going to look. And I was just imagining all this in my mind. So what was I doing? I was creating, right? We're happiest when we're creating. So that's exactly what I was doing. And then I went and bought all the wood. And another thing is I was looking into this hot tub cover it's like a little roof. It looks like an ordinary roof with gables. And then it's on 4 posters, and it just slides up the 4 posters over your hot tub. And so it turns into like a cabana, basically. And then you can have screens coming down. You pull the screens down for privacy. But you could also have, like a reverse projection screen, and you could watch the game, or you could watch a movie while you're in the tub, right? So there's all this that was kind of extra to this product called the Covana. So I really wanted one. Well, I got a quote for it, and it was like 10 grand. And I was like, man, I'm not going to be working soon. Should I really get this for 10 grand? I mean, I have the money, but do I really want to splurge that much? I was like, no, I'm going to use a Genie trainer. I'm going to find a way to get this cheaper. So I looked around, and I was looking, and it was on Kijiji. The guy wanted $2,500 for it. Well, okay, that's better than 10 grand. And then I talked to him, and I talked him down to 700. So I gave him the money and everything. Well, then it turned out that he had already given it under contract to sell to an auction place. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I already paid you, dude. So I ended up getting my money back from that guy. And then I talked to the auction place, and they were going to have an auction on the 16th. So during the break, that's what I did. I went to the auction, and I got it. I got it for $900. So I spent, less than 10% of what I was going to spend on it. And now I've got a perfectly good gazebo / cabana for my hot tub. And I've already built my deck. Yeah, I've had a great time doing it. So that's just how you use the training, is if you have a bunch of lemons, make some lemonade, right?
That's right.
Is there any other stories that somebody would like to share, even if it's not your own, like maybe a friend, something happened during the break, you watched your friend, you observed somebody else?
not really or directly related to this particular break, but I love to go travel and on trips and stuff, and I never ever worry is the time or the money going to happen to it. So I just started playing that Southwest trip, and I didn't have to pay for hardly any of it, and my wife had more than enough time off.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of the genie training. It's just most people think, oh, I can't do that. So they don't even try, like they don't even start. Or, oh, that's impossible to do. So I won't be able to afford to do that. So they don't even try. You know, if somebody wants to go to college, they think, well, I can't get a student loan and I have nobody that's going to, you know, give me the money. And there's no way. So they don't even try. But if you tried to go to college or whatever dream you have, you just started the process. You will find ways of saving money, and it's going to be exciting and fun because if you do it that way, you're allowing the universe to bless you. Okay. You're still going through all the motions. You're making all the work because I had to do all the work with all of this. I mean, I built my own deck, but because it was so much fun, I found a cheap dealer that dealt in wood supplies. So I got, you know, a whole bunch of wood for really, really cheap. You know, if you look around, you could probably find an area that's building new homes and they might have a lot of scrap wood that you can gather around. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways of saving money. But when you think to yourself, oh, I can't do that, so you don't even try, that's the loser mentality. Okay. That's the way we're taught to think. So when it comes to the genie training, it's all about how can I do this? And then you go, oh, yeah, I don't have to worry about the how. I'm going to do this. That's it, period. And so on that note, I'm going to talk about having your chief aim and going on vacation. Now, at first glance, if you have a chief aim and you're working towards this chief aim and you're working hard, you're working hard, you're working hard, and then you take a vacation, what do you think is going to happen to your do you think that it's going to come in faster or do you think it's going to come to a standstill?
You kind of broke up on that last part of the sentence.
Okay, so in terms of your chief aim, you're working hard towards your chief aim, and then a few months later, you decide to go on a vacation. All right. What do you think is going to happen in terms of your chief aim coming in? Is it going to come in faster by taking a vacation? Or do you think things will come to a standstill? Or do you think you might even have backwards progress?
Faster.
Faster, that's correct. Even though most people would say, oh no, if you stop working towards your dream, you're not going to get your dream. In fact, you might even have to work harder when you get back. So why would you say that it's going to come in faster?
You're not focused in on the how.
That's correct. And there's a few other reasons too, is you're not worried. So you're feeling good now because you're on vacation, right? And if you just think to yourself, this is going to happen no matter what. This is happening. We're doing this, okay? We're not trying. Jedi Knights do not try. Jedi Knights do, right? So we're going to do this. No matter what, it is going to happen. Whether I am in the United States, whether I'm in France, whether I'm in Africa on a safari, it doesn't matter. This is going to happen. So I'm going to use the power of my mind to focus on this and do less physical work on my dream, but more mental work, if you will. Okay, so we're doing the training balance scale. We're going to focus mainly on the thinking and strategizing part of it versus the actual physical labor part of it. So Andrew Carnegie is famous for going away to Scotland for the summer. Okay, he was a famous steel tycoon, and he was the mentor to Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill apprenticed under him in effect because he wasn't part of the societies, but Andrew Carnegie took him on as an apprentice in effect for 20 years. And so he was observed for 20 years doing this. And he would, I mean, this is a time when it was slower. I mean, there was no internet or anything like that. So he didn't take calls, house calls. He went home, at 4 p.m. He didn't come into the office until 10. He had an extra long lunch break. I mean, he took a lot of time off. So Andrew Carnegie did not really work that hard physically. And like I say, he would go to Scotland for the summer. And he said, don't call me, don't bother me. Wouldn't that be nice to just have a business, this giant booming business, and you just go away for the summer and say, don't bother me. And then that time, there's no texting, nothing like that. So he really did have peace and quiet for those 2 months or 3 months. But Andrew Carnegie is famous for doing this. And then when he came back, his business would be booming 10 times more than before he left, because he used the principle of focusing his mind. Now, let's not confuse this with just not doing anything. Okay, there's a difference between not doing anything, being lazy, okay, and using your time wisely. And whenever you have the opportunity to use the power of your mind to create that signal to broadcast to the universe, this is what you're going to do. All right. And when the opportunity presents itself, and you will know, I mean, there will be times when things will just take you aback. Like you won't even think that this is the way that it's going to go. But all of a sudden, something comes out of the blue and you're looking at it right in the face and you're going, this is my opportunity. When you see that, you have to take massive and aggressive action on that opportunity, which may involve actual physical labor or doing something physically, okay? Like setting something up physically, making phone calls, things like that. So there's a difference between just not doing anything and thinking about your chief aim and doing your mind movie. There's a big difference. So don't confuse the two, because some people really are just lazy people and they don't want to do anything. So they use the excuse, well, I'm allowing the universe to give me what I want. And I'm focusing on my abundance and all of this. No, you're not. You're just not doing anything because you're lazy. Okay. So there's a total difference between the two of thinking about your chief aim and not doing something. So don't confuse those two. All right. I posted something from Cavett Robert a few days ago in Genie Training. And Cavett Robert is, I mean, he's kind of hard to listen to if you're not used to the Southern accent, but I think he's great. And one thing that he says, his character is following through on a decision long after the excitement of the moment has passed. So when you're picking a new chief aim and you're all excited about it and you're going to get your goal and you're going to focus on this goal and it's going to come in and it's just so exciting and you're creating and everybody's happiest when they're creating and you're in your bliss, that's one thing. But when things start to turn the way that you don't want them to turn, okay, like for example with me when I got suspended, here I am making good money and everything, I'm working, and then I get suspended. Okay. And then, when I get suspended, I find that the Cavana, but then I get quoted 10 grand. Well, I don't want to pay 10 grand when I'm probably not going to be working soon. Okay, so I'm going to look again. And then I find this deal where a guy's got a used one for me. Okay, so I get it, you know, at a cheaper price. Turns out, oh no, he already sold it to the auction house. Like, oh, really? But I didn't let that stop me. You see, I just had to wait a little bit longer, and I had to do some more work, right? I had to hang around the auction place. And of course, it was the very last thing auctioned off. So I had to stay there all morning until 1 p.m. until they finally auctioned off my Cavana where I could bid on it. Okay, I had to make some effort, and it didn't look like it was going to come through. And then I would make some more effort, and then, oh, things turn sideways again. And then I make efforts again, and then, oh, that goes sideways, but I didn't let that stop me. Okay. If you fall off your bike once, you get up, you get back on your bike. Then you fall off twice. What do? You get up, get back on your bike. If you fall off 3 times, what do? You get up, get back on your bike. It's not how many times you fall down. It's how many times do you get back up that counts. Okay. So when Cabot Roberts is talking about character, that's what he's saying, is that when things aren't going your way, you're still following through on a decision, even though you're not as excited as you were when you first started to work on this chief aim. All right. Now, patent on leadership. I posted that quite a while ago. You can look that up, and I believe it's on YouTube. And then I believe it's also posted in the level 1 training, the basic training audios. I think it's like 8, 9, and 10. Patent on Leadership is a great course that Kevin talks about. And when Patton is talking, he's giving you instructions on how to be a good leader. Now, Patton is arguably one of the best leaders in history, both in the military and anywhere, okay? So when you're looking at what Patton has to say on leadership, it's really important. Even though you're not going to be a military general, you're not trying to, start a company that's got thousands of employees that you're going to have to lead. Maybe you are, but probably not, okay? You still have to lead. But who are you going to be leading first? The first person that you are going to be leading is yourself. And if you treat it like that, where you almost have 2 personalities, you have the leader personality and you have the employee personality, you are going to be leading yourself first. So it's important to take a look at that patent on leadership. One thing that he talks about is it is important not to, he says there is a difference between dominate and domineer. You are going to dominate. You are the alpha. You are on top. But you don't domineer when you lead. You are in charge. You are at cause. The whole point of the Genie training is that you learn that you are actually at cause over most things in your life, much more things than you think. So there's being at cause, there's being at effect. Another way of saying being at effect is that you are playing the victim card, okay? Oh, well, there's white privilege, so I can't do it. Well, you know what? There is white privilege. Agree, do it, even if there's white privilege. I mean, look at Obama. Obama was elected, but he didn't have any white privilege. So he still did it. There's no excuse not to get your dream, no matter how many things that are institutionalized to exist to be in your way. All right. There could be a million things that the government does. They'll change their policies a million times. They'll change the tax laws. They'll change immigration. They'll change all kinds of things. That doesn't matter. Okay. That is not going to get in your way, because the power of your mind is going to make it so. You are creating something with your own mind. And it begins with the brain. The brain is making a signal to the rest of the universe. And that is the most powerful force that exists. Doesn't matter what the government does. Doesn't matter that your parents never paid for college for you. Doesn't matter that, you know, the tax laws changed, so now you got to change something in your company. It doesn't matter, okay? You are at cause over everything in your life. You are not a victim. Yes, things happen to you, things will change, but you are the one who is at cause. And that is very important to understand that. When you're a leader, understanding that you are at cause over everything in your company, everything in your household, you are the boss. You'll begin to change how you act. Another thing Patton says is when a general is giving an order, a commander is giving an order, it is important to either be standing, or if he's on a horse, he can be seated on the horse. Well, I don't think you're going to be on a horse anytime soon. But the point is that a commander stands to give the command. You physically don't have to stand, because if you're leading yourself, you know, you don't really have to stand to give yourself a command. But it's the idea, it's the energy behind that, that you are standing up to give someone an order. And usually that's going to be yourself in the beginning. So you are taking charge, and kind of, in a way, you're dominating with your physical energy and saying, I am the boss, and this is what you are going to do. I hope everyone understands that you being the boss, you being at cause, does not make you a jerk. You're not automatically an asshole because you're giving orders, okay? You are the boss. You dominate, but you're not domineering. In fact, I encourage you to look that up in the dictionary. Look up both words, dominate and domineer. And when you look things up in the dictionary, a good idea is to look at the etymology of the word. Where did the word come from originally? Is it from Latin? Is it from German? Where does it come from? And just look at how the word has evolved over the centuries, if possible. Another word to look up would be command and commander. Look up those two words. Some more words to look up is that you need to have steadiness of purpose. That's what Patton says, that we need to have steadiness of purpose. So do that too. Look up steadiness and look up purpose. And when you're thinking about steadiness of purpose, also look at Cavett Robert talking about character, and look up character, because it has several meanings. So obviously take the appropriate meaning. Looking up words in the dictionary is actually very important. And if you guys would like to explore this further in a few weeks, we can do that. But I actually had to look up words in the dictionary, physically look them up, not online. I had to physically go to a dictionary and look up the word. And then Kevin had us write down the word. So every piece of loose leaf had its own word. And we had to write down all the definitions. We had to write down the etymology and all of the derivatives of those words. So we physically wrote words down and their definitions and etymology. And that's a very powerful thing because you begin to learn what words actually mean, and words do have power. And you begin to learn that. So if you'd like to explore that later, we can do that. It's a lot of work to basically create your own dictionary by hand, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, so does everybody understand the difference between being at cause versus being at effect?
I think so.
So there's a lot of talk in the media, particularly the liberal media, and even though they mean well, you can hear how, with using discernment, how they're trying to change the mentality of the people, where the people are the victims. Is there any observations that you've made recently where the media is trying to tell you to play the victim card or to feel victimized?
I don't have TV and don't watch the news.
Well, that's the greatest brainwashing device there is. So good for you. Yeah, I don't have a TV either. So yeah, thankfully I haven't been exposed to a lot of that in the last year or so. But there's a lot of talk about, oh, well, there's white privilege and, oh, we have, white males have all of the good stuff in life and blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something, okay? That might be the case. It might be true, but it does not stop anyone from succeeding. Okay? They are doing this on purpose. They are doing this on purpose to try to brainwash you into thinking like a victim, that you can't do it. No, you are a powerful spiritual being. You can do anything you set your mind to within reason. I mean, you're not going to be flying without being in an airplane, or you're not going to be a superhero jumping over tall buildings or anything, okay? But within reason, you can achieve anything that you desire. Nothing is going to get in your way. And it might take a little bit of time. You might have a few times where you fall down and you have to get back up, but that's going to make you a stronger person. And you're going to learn how to do it and how not to do it better by falling down and getting back up than you ever will by listening to me. Okay? So if you do fall down figuratively and then you get back up, it will teach you what not to do next time so that you'll just get better and better at this. Okay? Because this is not going to be your first rodeo. Like, yeah, you might have a chief aim. It hasn't come in yet, but it will come in. And then you'll have to pick another one. And then you pick another one and another one. So you're going to be doing this hopefully for the rest of your life. And you will be succeeding faster at it the more that you do this. There is no reason why you can't succeed. And when you listen to the media, they have all kinds of little subtle things that are being said, articles that are written. Like I'm thinking about the Washington Post. That's one of them. If you read articles by the Washington Post and the Huffington Post, it's all victim, victim, victim. Get that out of your head. You're not a victim. Okay? You are not a victim. You control everything in your life. You are the way that you are, and you are in the situation that you are in because of you, ultimately. Never forget that. So you've actually been using this technique your whole life, but because you didn't know how to use the technique, because you didn't know how it worked, life just kind of happened to you, right? Well, now you're taking the bull by the horns, and that's not going to happen anymore. Now that you know the trick of how to use this, you're going to use it to your advantage instead of having life just kind of happen to you. All right? You are the hero in your own story. And that's pretty much it for tonight. But Are there any observations, questions, or concerns?
I do not have any.
Okay, sounds good.